What if Jon Snow hatched a dragon egg? Part 2. Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Roose Bolton sits atop the high seat of the Dreadfort, looking over the Northmen who gather to share their concerns. They come from different parts of his new domain, from the Wolfwoods in the northern mountains to the White Knife and Rills, from the Fingers to Stony Shore. Each has concerns, but all share one worry: dragons and the Night's Watch.
Speak plainly, Lord Bolton. We have all heard tales of how you've ridden north to attack the Night's Watch. Why in the name of the Seven would you do such a thing? They are the shield that guards the realm of men.
If they are the shield of men, then this shield has gone rusty. I did not ride out to destroy them for my amusement. I attacked them because I had heard dark rumors about them. The Lord Commander has gone mad. He and his cronies have begun offering sacrifices to some dragon. Look at Castle Black and you shall find the bone pits of their victims.
The dragon, you say? There has not been a dragon spotted in over 100 years.
Not quite.
An egg was spotted here recently. An egg found in Winterfell. Isn't that true, Lord Bolton?
I know the story as well. During a visit to the crypts, it was said that Ned Stark's bastard found the egg buried beneath the gaze of Cregan Stark. Perhaps it was a gift from the Targaryens long ago. What of it?
So, how had it come into the possession of the Night's Watch?
From what I understand, Jon Snow brought the egg with him, and according to the survivors of the mutineers, they hatched the egg with a blood ritual. Jorah Mormont did so in hopes of bolstering the Night's Watch's strength.
And yet Lord Commander Mormont perished in the fist of the first men, so it appears that strength wasn't enough.
On the contrary, it seems that this dragon worked quite well, and was what saved them from being wiped out entirely. So much so that some Black Brothers began to see the dragon as some sort of deity. Among them was low-born exile named Janis Slynt, one of the Lannisters' creatures, I believe. That brings growls among the Northmen, which pleases Roose. Though they might distrust him, they despise the Lannisters even more, and they might be inclined to see reason if they have a common enemy. And in that mad fool's mind, he began offering sacrifices of men to the dragon, believing it would appease it and continue to protect them. So yes, I put an end to that madness and slaughtered them. As for Jon Snow, I advised him to keep that dragon out of reach for time being. I thought it best to keep it out of the reach of the Night's Watch until we can be certain all of these madmen have been dealt with. He looks around as the room has gone deadly silent. None of the lords seem pleased with this action, but no one would be pleased when human sacrifice is involved. Still, at the same time, none of them can challenge what he's doing wrong. Reluctantly, all the lords simply accept his explanation. Even the fat Lord Manderley must bow his head as he departs. Once he is alone, Roose takes a deep breath and sighs, considering his options. The dragon will return and he must be ready. Meanwhile, in the lands beyond the wall, Jon and Frostfire huddle up on a small hill above the haunted forest to rest for a bit. It had been a difficult few weeks since he had abandoned the wall, not only for leaving his friends behind, but also because of how difficult tending to a dragon is. Frostfire requires a tremendous amount of food to survive, more than Jon can ever hunt for, and he dares not spend too much time on the ground, not with the White Walkers. Since leaving, they had harried him day and night. The sight of Frostfire has driven them into a fury, spurring them to attack with reckless abandon. Their whites come by the hundreds, ripping and tearing at him, and only being beaten back by Dragonflame. Yet their numbers do not seem to deplete from this, and every time they attack, they seem to have fresh warriors. It makes it impossible for them to stay alive anywhere without risking being attacked. Jon shivers and tries to warm himself around the fire as he thinks of what to do now. He wants nothing more than to return to Castle Black, but also knows the dangers of the cultists. The memories of their sacrifices continue to haunt him as he closes his eyes. It seems like he's barely resting them when he suddenly hears movement coming from the edge of the woods. Jon rises to his feet and draws Longclaw, gripping the blade tightly. But as the figure steps out, he is covered in snow, but this barely hides the skull underneath. At first, he thinks this is a white, but the movement is too coordinated and moves with too much determination. And then he hears it, a faint rattling of bones that never came from real whites. Rattleshirt. Just as he realizes that, more free folk appear, stepping out with weapons drawn. Frostfire raises his head and blows smoke. This causes the raiders to hesitate, if only for a moment. But then Rattleshirt waves his white cloth. The gesture is enough to cause Jon to hesitate. He lets the man approach.
What is it you want, wildling?
Me?
I'd want to gut you and take your dragon's ribs for clubs. But my king wishes to speak to you first. He's waiting on the ridge beyond.
Your king?
Aye. He comes with an offering.
Gesturing to two of the wildlings behind him, they offer a bundle and place it on the ground. When Jon unwraps it, he's surprised to see meat, enough to feed Frostfire for the day. Frowning, Jon lowers his head and agrees to meet with them. The camp is just a short walk away, but sprawls out beyond the woods and into the rocks, past the rivers, the plains, and cliffs. There had to be thousands, tens of thousands of them. If they all decide to march back, there would be few things on the wall that could stop them. And yet, this is not a military camp. He sees farm animals, children, women, and the elderly. This is a retreat. Inside the largest tent, Jon finds Mance waiting for him. The king is leaning on some furs and offers a drink to Jon.
Drink, my boy. It'll warm you up. We have much to discuss.
What do you want?
I want to make a deal. You have that dragon, and no way of taking care of it. As it happens, I can help with that. We don't have much food, but I've managed to feed 100,000 mouths so far. Another 2 will make no difference.
And what do you want in exchange for that food?
What anyone wants in my circumstances. Fire, protection, a dragon. Tell me, boy, you've seen those White Walkers and what they can do. It wouldn't matter if I had 1,000,000 men. They won't stop coming, not with swords alone. But a dragon, that might make a difference.
And you think I'll just hand it over, pledge my sword to you? I swore an oath to my brothers.
And yet, you were out here, shivering, alone. It must have been some oath you swore, boy. This is more than just our petty squabbles between men. Those White Walkers don't care if we're free folk or crow. They'll slaughter us and make us meat in their army. And things have changed.
Changed?
Aye, they've changed. There have been hints of them over the years. They come in the dead of night and carry off 1 or 2 unfortunate souls. But those were rare instances, in the fringes of our society. But now, something has them stirred up, Jon. I don't know what it is, but I'm not taking any chances. If it helps my people survive, I'll do it.
Then go south, to the wall. Ask Lord Bolton to let you through.
What peace is there south of the wall? Your lands hardly seem more peaceful than ours. I will when the time is right, just as you return to your brothers when you think it's safe. But then, there's no reason for us not to work together.
So you'll help care for Frostfire until I can return south, and I'll protect you from White Walkers. Very well.
The Dreadfort is quiet before dawn. Cold air leaks through the stone and firelight dances across the flayed man banner, casting a crimson glow over the hall. Roose Bolton stands near the hearth. Ramsay kneels before him, a predator forced into supplication. He fidgets, unsure whether he's being rewarded or cast aside.
You said I would be your heir. You said I'd be Bolton, not some crow. You will have a name and a black cloak. The Night's Watch. Is this a punishment?
A command. Castle Black is leaderless. Janis Slynt is dead. The brothers bicker like children. His cultists are in disarray. We can use them. Give them something new to worship. If they do not, then make them listen.
He turns back to the fire, his eyes far away. He speaks almost to himself.
The wall is weakening. The Watch doesn't know it yet, but they've already lost. We must prepare.
They'll remember the name Bolton, even in black.
Indeed. And remember, even in black, you are Bolton. Perform this task well, and you shall have Winterfell.
Soon enough, the news breaks that Roose is exiling his son to the wall. Some quarrel had broken out between them. Just what is unknown even to the North's best spies, and there was little reason to mourn. He was hated by all. What wasn't expected was what happened later. After taking his vows, he is called to the Night's Watch. Janis Slynt is dead, and they need a new Lord Commander. Ramsay Bolton wins. Just as his father said, Ramsay goes about to the scattered cultists, whispering that he will bring them their beloved dragon back. To the non-believers, he brings bribes and threats, reminding them that his father rules the North and can be generous to his allies. A few laugh at him, and they're the first to go when he wins. 3 bodies hang flayed from the wall's wooden beams, skinless and obscene. Their faces, what's left of them, are frozen in eternal agony. The brothers of the Night Watch gather silently in the courtyard. No one speaks, no one moves. Ramsay Bolton steps onto the steps of the Lord Commander's tower, clad in the black cloak of the Watch as he watches their bodies sway.
This isn't the Watch. This is tyranny.
Call it what you will. I call it order.
You've flayed our brothers. You've defiled the oaths.
Then find someone who agrees with you.
No one questions who commands the Watch. With that, he begins organizing a range. Roose Bolton stands alone atop the battlements of the Dreadfort, reading the report that his son had written him. Wind tears at his cloak, but he doesn't feel the cold. Not anymore. He didn't just skin those poor souls. He had their blood spattered at the base of the wall, a grim offering much as Lord Janus offered, but improved, refined. They have weakened the old spells. You can feel them unraveling. Magic so old most believe it legend, but Roose remembers. He was there. A storm is coming. Not long now. Jon rides the head of a ragged host of free folk, the great dragon Frostfire soaring high above. Its wings churn the snow-laden clouds, scattering them like mist. Below, the wildlings march, following the dragon's shadow like a god. For weeks, their advance is stalled as the haunted forest is dead, preventing them from risking a march. Instead, they had remained at the edges, hiding in the mountains when they could and trying to break in. But with a dragon, they have started to gain momentum. Mance watches the skies.
Strange days. The dragon guards us, and the crow leads us.
Jon doesn't respond. He's wary. The road south is long, but they have no choice. The White Walkers move faster than before. Every village they pass is already lost, its people turned. He swoops low long enough to look over at the king beyond the wall.
Frostfire is strong, but still young. He tires.
Then let us rest for now. They gather around a village long abandoned, but its weirwood maintains a silent vigil over them. Frostfire rests under its canopy, coiling around its branches while Jon sleeps under its eyes. That night, Jon dreams. He stands before a massive weirwood tree, its bark blackened and twisted. The eyes bleed dark sap, and the wind carries whispers he doesn't understand.
Come north, before the wall falls.
He walks in a cold sweat. Frostfire sleeps nearby, but its eyes are open, watching, waiting. He tells Mance about this, and he agrees they must look over this. They decide to leave Frostfire with the wildlings under the command of Tormund to protect them. Meanwhile, Mance and Jon ride towards the Three-Eyed Raven with a small band of trusted warriors. The snow falls thicker the deeper they ride into the haunted forest, a silence settling over the world like a shroud. They arrive at the mouth of the cave before nightfall, a yawning wound in the earth beneath a grove of ancient weirwoods, their red leaves trembling despite the stillness. Jon feels the weight of eyes upon him, though none are visible. Ghost growls low and refuses to go further. They descend into the cave, unaware of the eyes watching them. The roots of the weirwood twist like veins through stone. At the heart of the cavern sits Bran Stark, older, quiet, and not entirely human anymore. His eyes are pale and unblinking as he watches Jon approach.
Bran! I heard your voice in my dreams. I didn't believe it at first. I thought I was going mad. Not mad. But there is much you don't know. I'm glad you are here, though. I followed the visions. You called me.
What is this place?
This is where time speaks, and where I learn the truth.
Bran invites Jon to sit while Mance and the others gather around them. Bran taps his forehead against his and begins to show the past. He shows the wall first being built, rising higher and higher. Small folk and lords alike watch it rise. It stands tall, rising above them. Among them is a hooded figure, a man with flat, pale eyes. Jon's eyes widen as he recognizes it, the same eyes that told him to flee the wall. Roose Bolton.
He's one of them. A creature born of ice and bound by death. You're saying he's not human? He hasn't been for a very long time.
Suddenly, shouting echoes from the mouth of the cave. Metal clashes, screams. Jon and the free folk rush up towards the grove. There, under crimson leaves, wildlings clash with men in black cloaks. The Night's Watch.
What the hell?
Jon shouts for them to stop, but the fight has already turned savage. A dozen bodies lie bleeding in the snow before they realize. Rattleshirt roars defiantly and sweeps his weapon back and forth, laughing as he cuts crows down. But crows aren't all they come. The whites pour out from the forest, dozens of them clutching weapons as decayed as they are. The Night's Watch gasp and brace themselves for the attack. but strangely enough, the whites rush past them and move to confront the wildlings instead. Soon the wildlings are pressed from either side, facing the Night's Watch and the whites. Both sides were confused, but seemed to reorganize them as their foes. At the head of the Black Brothers, Ramsay Bolton laughs as his sword cuts through the free folk. A child of the forest leaps from the shadows, hurling fire into the horde. The explosion of green flame slows them, but not for long.
We have to fall back.
More children of the forest emerge, hurling firebombs at them as they urge the surviving wildlings to rush back into the caves. Bran takes a deep breath and begins to chant, while Summer and Ghost protect them, ripping into whites. Despite that, more of the dead press on, accompanied by the Black Brothers. Ramsay's sword sweeps back and forth, knocking Rattleshirt off his feet, and he prepares to kill him. Then, out of the snow, rides a figure cloaked in black and frost. Cold Hands. Behind him, a swarm of ravens letter forward and surrounds the dead. They peck and tear at their flesh, while the Black Brothers look out in shock. Many drop their weapons in surprise, but a few continue fighting. Others turn their weapons on the whites. Among them is Sir Alistair, Gren, Pip, and Samwell. The knight kills Ramsay's horse from under him, and Rattleshirt drives a dagger through his eye. As the last of the whites are ripped apart, Cold Hands removes his head, revealing the pale face of Benjen Stark.
You're alive. You and your little nephew. I could say the same. I got your message, Bran.
Bran nods numbly, opening his eyes before suddenly gasping as another set of visions hits him. This time, the sight is like no other. At first, he thinks it's a vision of the past, seeing a horde of the dead marching south from the lands beyond the wall. But it's not from the past. It's the present. They shadow the vast wildling horde, ready to pounce at the moment's notice.
Back to the wall. Quickly.
The sun barely rises above the horizon as thousands of free folk, warriors, mothers, children, cluster together in a desperate, restless mass. Eyes dart toward the black stone of Castle Black, where the men in the Night's Watch armor stand atop the ramparts.
We can't wait much longer, Snow. The women are freezing. The old can't walk another while. We must pass.
A few men prepare to step forward and parley with the Watch, but a horn is already shouting, and men scream about dragons.
Our dragon! They stole our dragon!
Black Brothers loads scorpions. Arrows knock into place. The cultists fanatically arm themselves, shouting and waving their hands, proclaiming this is the day they reclaim their god. A thunderclap erupts from atop the wall. A bolt streaks through the sky. Frostfire roars and takes to the air in fury, flames leaking from its jaws. From within Castle Black, black-robed cultists come pouring out, howling prayers. They scream that the dragon has been stolen by the wildlings, that it is sacred, meant to prevent the long night. The free folk wait no longer and rush at them. Arrows fly, axes flash. Though depleted, the Night's Watch fights with a fanatical devotion. They hold off the attack for days, gladly sacrificing themselves in the name of their god as they send word of wildling attacks. It takes days, but the north begins to arrive. Cavalry and banners from House Umber, Karstark, and even Manderley, bearing the direwolf sigil and the flayed man. They ride down from the hills. They see the fire and fury and blood, and they think the wall is under attack. They join the slaughter. By the time Jon and his company arrive, the battle has already been raging for days, and the bodies pile all over the ground, painting it with frozen blood of the dead. Frostfire circles above, then unleashes a river of fire that cuts through the cultists, but also through men of the Night's Watch and wildlings. The dragon doesn't understand sides, only threats, and the world below is nothing but madness. The snow turns red, smoke spirals into the sky. For days, the battlefield grows. Thousands fall, wildlings and Black Brothers, northern lords and southern sellswords. All the while, deep beneath the wall, Roose Bolton waits in the crypts. Candles flicker around him, each flame nestled in bowls of blood. Symbols drawn in bone dust coat the floor. He kneels, hands outstretched over the bodies of the fallen, gathered secretly from the battlefield. Dragged into the depths, he whispers in the old tongue, voice colder than the stones around him.
The wall is no longer sacred. The blood has paid the price.
The air grows still. Then he slits his own palm, letting the icy blood fall into a wide basin filled with shattered dragon glass and melted ice. It sizzles, glows blue. Outside, the wind dies, the sound of battle hushed. Then, howling. From the snowdrifts rise the dead. Tens of thousands of corpses shudder and climb to their feet, eyes glowing with unnatural light. Broken wildlings, fallen brothers, burned knights, all raised. With them comes the White Walkers, drawn by the blood, the ritual, the collapse of the wall's magic. The wall itself groans like a beast in its death throes. Runes carved centuries ago flicker and fade. Jon, watching from atop a black-slicked hill, feels the shift of the world, the deep cold that no dragon fire can banish. Roose has won the first move. The battlefield is a churning storm of fire, frost, and fury. Jon and Cold Hands gather the few remaining wildlings in their party and hurry to launch a counterattack. Their arrival is heralded by a flock of ravens, but they are joined by other creatures: elks, wolves, bears, and anything that still lives. Mance and the Night's Watch ride in the center, cutting down any wights that get between them. Above them, Frostfire descends for another attack, but Jon screams and waves his hands, trying to get the dragon's attention. The dragon turns and faces him, its maw opening as it prepares to unleash fire. But at the last second, it freezes when it sees Jon. For a moment, there is calm, as it regards the being as close to a father as it's ever had, but that moment is cut short as a group of wights rush behind Jon. It unleashes a torrent of flame and lowers its head, letting Jon mount it. With a rider, Frostfire is more of a help, burning through the outer lines of wights where they can do the most damage without risking hurting anyone. In the center, Cold Hands and Mance rally what remains of their people, while Sir Alistair moves to secure the gate and open it up. Frostfire shrieks, nearly overwhelmed with the chaos, but Jon taps his neck.
Easy. I'm here. We're together. Now fly.
The dragon obeys. They fly up to the top of the wall, and to their shock see a battle raging below within Castle Black, as the Northmen ward with one another. Seeing their success, House Bolton and the cultists turn against the Northmen. Although they are badly outnumbered, the Northmen are not expecting this, and are being pressed hard. Jon flies Frostfire over the wall and burns through a line of Bolton cavalry and approaches one of the northern lords.
Let them through. The wildlings.
Are you mad?
They'll gut us the moment. They're not the enemy. Look, they fight for the living.
Open the gates.
The wall groans as the heavy gates creak open. One by one, the free folk pour in, half starved and broken, but still breathing. Tormund shouts orders, axes flashing as he and Mace push back the cultists. A few giants follow, and with his army, they manage to beat back the Bolton force. But it is not enough. From the depths of Castle Black, the ground splits open with a scream of ice. Figures step into the light, grotesque parodies of honor and memory. Wights clad in noble leather and northern furs. One still wears a direwolf cloak. Ned Stark. And beside him, a monster. A boy with a head sewn onto a direwolf now lets out an unearthly growl. Robb Stark.
No.
Behind them, Roose Bolton emerges from the shadow of the wall's foundations. Blood marks his icy eyes. His voice carries on the wind like a chant.
I offer you peace, Jon Snow. We are the same, you and I, of the old blood. First men and White Walkers, true North. The children lied. They feared what they made, so they betrayed the White Walkers, bound them in curses, and turned them into monsters. But I have freed them. Monster!
He bellows, swinging a curved blade at Roose's neck. The blade shatters on contact. Roose grabs him by the neck and breaks him. Roose does not flinch.
I am older than the Watch, older than this wall. You are the blood of Valyria. Fight for me. Rule with me. We can bring order to the chaos, burn away the lies, make a world worth keeping, one ruled by ice and fire.
Ghost snarls beside Jon, red eyes burning. Frostfire lands again behind him, wings flared.
I already have a pack.
Then your fire shall be snuffed out.
The undead Starks charge. Ned's sword meets Longclaw. The steel sings, but Jon's strength holds. Robb moves with unnatural speed, roaring and leaping through the gates to secure it. He tears through men, biting them like a wolf as he slaughters the sentries guarding it, as they begin shutting the gate as the last of the wildlings get through. Ned slashes from behind, silent, relentless. Jon ducks, parries, and shouts in agony as the ghost of his father cuts across his arm.
Forgive me.
When Ned swings again, Jon ducks and severs it at the elbow, letting his sword drop into the ground. Just then, Frostfire swoops low and smashes its tail against Ned, sending his body shattering against the wall. In the meantime, Robb finishes off the last of the sentries just as they desperately shut the gates to keep the whites out. But Robb begins to open it. That is, until Ghost leaps at him from behind. The two topple to the ground, biting and snarling. Robb moves wildly, without regard for his life, as he scratches a deep gash against Ghost, but the direwolf drives his fangs into his throat. Roose howls, not in pain, but rage, his face warping, the human mask slipping. Beneath is something colder, eyes the color of deep glacial ice, a being that was never entirely man. Jon charges, Longclaw raised. The blade, Valyrian steel, drinks the unnatural cold. Roose raises a wall of ice between them, but Frostfire smashes through it, roaring. Jon leaps forward, and Roose raises his own weapon. The ground cracks underneath them as a burst of cold air blows against Jon. He fights through it, feeling the wind cut through his skin. Jon sweeps his sword and connects with Roose's blade, sending an ear-splitting shriek across the wall. Both men ignore it as they trade blows, their blades flashing, and Roose manages to score a slash across Jon's cheek. He tries to push it down towards his neck, but is thrown back. Meanwhile, Jon twists and slashes Roose across the side and then sends him to his knees. He drives the blade through Roose's chest. The scream that follows is inhuman. The ground cracks. The air implodes. Then, silence. Roose Bolton's body crumbles like snow struck by fire. The ice breaks. The magic holding his curse together fails. The storm of the dead falters. And the wall, for one moment longer, still stands. Bran takes the chance to act. With the White Walkers in disarray, he closes his eyes and reaches into their minds. He finds little conflict without Roose and begins directing them south, marching them back to the heart of winter. Just as quickly as the long night had emerged, it is beaten back. The Northmen and wildlings breathe a sigh of relief as they watch them disappear back beyond the wall. Meanwhile, with this victory, Jon begins settling the wildlings along the north, which was badly depopulated after the recent conflict. With their army stiffened with giants and a dragon, nothing stops them from declaring independence. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.